Hello, my name is Matt Walensky. I am a senior enterprise architect with XTIVIA. I'm here with Aubrey Henkel from Eatel, and we're here to talk about an XTIVIA case study of the Eatel customer portal, creating an integrated experience that delights customers. Aubrey, you want to kick us off?
All right. We are going to go a little bit and talk about our actual customer experience first, and then we'll get into the technology, the Liferay technology that was used in some of the XTIVIA components of that. Basically, first, a little bit about Eatel. We are based here in Louisiana, about an hour north of here. And so we are big Saints fans, and Drew Brees set the all-time passing record last night, just in case you didn't catch that. That means all time, he's the best passer. Anyway, so Eatel is a telecommunications company that had been around for about 80 years, offering traditional telephone and eventually internet. We moved into obviously video services and then eventually home security. On the business side of things, we also offer the traditional telco business services in our core network area. It's an all-fiber network, fiber to the premise for every address in Ascension Parish and some areas beyond that. By the way, Louisiana has parishes instead of counties. And so also we have a for-profit data center that we purchased, Venue, that services national customers throughout the United States, and we have 2 locations of that in Shreveport and in Baton Rouge. So we have a Tier 3 data center for Venue. Our partnership with XTIVIA has gone for about 2 years. This was through an evaluation process of Portal Technologies, figuring out what the right solution was and the right provider through XTIVIA. They really helped us initially by launching a new business website that brought in the data center information along with our business telco information for a modern, informative interface there. And then the next phase of that really moved into our customer portal. So the question was, what are we trying to do with the customer portal? Well, as we went through some acquisitions over time, we picked up several portals, and we had not gone through the effort to consolidate that into a unified portal for our customers. And so literally, depending on who the customer was, there may be one of 3 different portals that they needed to go to get to the services. Each of the portals actually had different functionality that was offered to the customers. And a lot of it was technologically out of date to the point where we may not have even had the developers who knew how to develop the portals, which you may run into that from time to time. We also wanted something that was responsive between desktop and a mobile solution. A real big push was this digital transformation that you're hearing a lot about. And though some people are talking about digital transformation from the really advanced technologies, we're really looking at, we want our customers to be able to self-serve. We want them to be able to do whatever they choose to do themselves before they're ever making contact with us. That will allow our team to really focus on great customer relationships for the people who choose to contact us instead of a lot of relationships for people who would have rather do it on their own. So therefore, they're kind of ticked off when they start talking to you because they didn't even want to talk to a person in the first place. They wanted to self-check out, right? So one of the other things is we wanted to fully integrate with the PCI compliant payment portal so that we offloaded all of the PCI responsibility. And that was one of the objectives of doing the customer portal. And then as part of the portal project, we really wanted to move towards a microservices architecture where we were starting to build everything into an integration layer and not doing kind of program by program specific integrations between systems, but having that integration layer underneath everything. Some of the features that we wanted to assist our customers with was just the ability. The long-term vision is I want them to do whatever they want to do, literally. I want them to be able to do everything. If there is something that you could call someone to do, then I want the customer to be able to do it themselves online. We're not there. But taking an agile approach and incremental steps, we are beginning to deliver that. One of the challenges with the telco is due to very specific regulations, it is actually much easier to sign up for a bank account online than it is to sign up for a phone account online. there are privacy information that we cannot use any biographical information to validate who a customer is. Actually, a lot of the laws were kind of written where they need to show up at a customer service center and show their driver's license. And so navigating through who is a customer is one of the things that we had to deal with. But we wanted to give them the ability to self-serve their billing transactions, be able to store payment information online, create support cases and track those over time with multiple users in a home or in a business, place orders, do user management and capabilities. Again, whether it's residential, adding a spouse or a child to be able to create trouble tickets, or whether it is a business with many users with many permissions and abilities. And then just be able to set their email and text notification preferences is something that we wanted to put in their hands. Increasingly just things that if you had to call in customer service, it hurts our service levels and it frustrates you to do those things. We also saw some benefit on our side from moving in this direction. We could really target marketing opportunities to customers based on the demographics of who they are or anything else, to recommend solutions for them based on the things that they have. Also, notifications and outages, especially in our telco area. You'll get this from your energy company, people like that. Hey, look, there's an outage in your area. We know about it. We're working on it. We wanted to be able to do that very specifically and targeted. Customer targeted FAQs. So depending on what an FAQ is for a data center customer versus a business telco customer versus a residential telco customer are completely different. And so we wanted the FAQs to only show the information that we believe is relevant for that user. Dynamic branding, we do have several companies with specific company branding across our business. Most of our customers do not even know what company, they just know the company that they've always been. They didn't know that there's another company. So we want to present the branding in a way that is comfortable for them and that they recognize and don't view as spam in some way. And then we really want to push paperless billing because we are huge proponents of saving the environment. We're also huge proponents of saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in paper bills being sent to people. So two benefits from one initiative. And so we want to be able to put that in front of people as regularly as possible, give them incentives to move towards paperless billing. If you have deployed a portal project and did not face challenges, then you're lying. So we faced some challenges. One of those was the farther we got into how we're going to do account registration, the more we realized through our legal department how deep these rules go. The more we also realized we've always treated a customer as an account. We didn't actually worry about the individuals previously. So it's like, here's your account number. Well, that can't cut it. We have to actually know who the individuals are. And so that moved into a lot of things that we really needed to change in our source systems. And that is plural because, again, we had acquisitions and there are multiple systems that these things are happening in. That I consider continuous improvement, not really a problem. This is actually us getting better through a portal project rather than us running into some insurmountable challenge. This is improving our entire business. This, again, is improving our business, though we would have liked to have more proactively done this. We really started watching our web services level, in particular on one billing system that's running on iSeries, and we realized we're going to shut down the company if we launch the portal. So we were running at about 80% utilization on the web services. Our testing was showing that this was going to increase a good bit. And so we actually needed to order a new iSeries with solid-state drives and upgrade processors and things like that. And so that's a huge delay that also affected us. We are using an external payment provider for PCI compliance, which when you use external anything, you are surrendering a certain degree of control. And so the implementation speed, which our portal and this payment provider had to launch on the exact same day, because we did not do the payment provider into the other portal, and the other payment provider we were not going to build into our new portal just to turn it off in a month or something like that. So these had to launch simultaneously, which meant the entire time we're developing the customer portal, we were having to implement a payment solution which affects everything, AR, customer service, an IVR system that goes along with it. So that just added complexity to the project. And then one of the things in working with XTIVIA, and one of the things I really like about XTIVIA is they are willing to develop and support forever, something that you do, you just make that arrangement with them. My desire is to have some people on my team that are knowledgeable and able to support the system once some of the things have been developed, even going so far as developing it ourselves. And so we have progressively moved from XTIVIA doing pretty much everything to now my team is working on actual development, and we've done the integration layer. We have UI UX, a UI UX resource. And so as all of that is happening, we can now use XTIVIA as a very flexible, helpful resource instead of just an absolute dependence. And for me, that was the right position to be in, and it has worked really well. We actually brought one of the developers on site and told him not to develop, just help our people develop. And so that has been, that's been very beneficial. But that learning curve is obviously a challenge. All right, a few screenshots just to give you a feel for it. So this is the dashboard whenever you first come in to the portal. This is dynamic. So this person would be a billing user because they have transaction history, they have a paperless billing option, and they have a 72 days past due for their bill. If it was not a person with billing authorization, then they would not see those things. They would have other tiles available, and the billing section would not be on the left. So it's very dynamic as far as that goes. At the top left, you see Vision Communications Branding. That's the company that is servicing the area where this customer is. And so the tiles, and once you go to, obviously, a mobile view, then the whole screen on the left would expand in and out with the hamburger menu. And then you get your tiles and your content going, straight down the screen instead of across in a web view like this. Support requests is one of the areas that people have really wanted more information. What's going on? What's the status of the ticket that I put in? What's information? Who's working on it? That sort of thing. And so now they could click in and see all of this. There's no level of portal user that would not have access to this. So this isn't as dynamic as the other things, but it shows the type of information that we're trying to provide with drill down into individual tickets, support information. Like I said, one of the real discouragements for people is previously they had the ability to automatically pay their bill or give us their payment information every single time because we did not want to store their credit card information and take the PCI compliance upon ourselves. And so now with fully integrated, and this is an iframed, completely just styled to our portal iframe solution from the payment provider, so that the customer literally has no idea that they're not on an Eatel page whenever they're on this page, but they're not. They're on the Paymentus payment portal. Whenever they get to this, in any of the payment screens, they're on that system. Finally, we needed to design something that on the most base residential user, you would just have basic information like the name and admin and active, or you wouldn't even have billing or non-billing, or maybe you would. Just basic information that you could set permissions if you were considered the admin of the account, which is the person on which the credit check was run and owns the account, so that you could add a spouse to be able to make modifications on the account, or add a child to be able to say, hey, the service is out, things like that, but not see billing information. The most complex side of it is for our data center users. Our data center users actually need to be able to designate who's an admin. They could have several admins. They could have one admin. They can have active and inactive users over time. They can have billing or non-billing users. They actually have an escalation order for call out based on data center outages. Privileges as far as after-hours access, bandwidth notifications, maintenance notifications, and then physical access into data centers to be able to go where if we're actually colo or hosting any of their servers, they need to physically be able to designate who has access to walk up to the building, show their ID, and be able to get in and work on the servers. So all of this is audited and managed by the admin at the customer themselves. In Liferay, this is good because all of that's accordion based, so you can get just a list of users, or you can accordion it out and get all of those permissions and be able to control all of that. So you can use it as a quick user list to see everybody that has access, or you can get into very detailed permissions.
All right, Matt. Thanks, Aubrey.
Here's the light.
So I'm here to talk about how we're leveraging Liferay DXP for this solution. Of course, Liferay DXP, very feature-rich, a lot of out-of-the-box features, and what we were able to use is we didn't even need everything, but we were able to tie in like our content management. We were using the development tools. We've got model listeners, pre and post actions. An example of that was when we talk about the Dell Boomi tier. We've got a login post action, which does the token and the sign-on for integrating with your back-end systems. We've got the self-service features in there and the registration, and of course, Liferay's authentication and authorization role-based access control. So it's just crucial for keeping your portal secure. And security is of vital importance on this side. So tying that into, we're using organizations. And the organizations ties to the customer account so that the user can have access to that customer account. And it could be that the user has access to a couple customer accounts and maybe different permissions on each one. They might have billing access to one and read-only access to another. And all of these out-of-the-box features of Liferay make that capability very easy for us to implement. So here's a quick diagram that just kind of shows a lot of the Liferay and how we're tying in our custom-built modules into that. Of course, we've got the themes on the front end, which gives you your look and feel. We're also building in our login post action, which integrates with the Dell Boomi tier. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And our React.js portlets and our JetRay services. And that's really where the meat of the development and the architecture is done. So from an architecture perspective, we went with a single page application design. And SPAs are really where everything's moving toward in a modern architecture framework. We'll talk a little bit about some of our solution accelerators that we have with XTIVIA JetRay, XTIVIA Jet Service, and Service Guard for DXP. And we chose React for the front end on this site. And that gives us very quick time to market. The learning curve on picking that up from a JavaScript perspective is quick as well for the client to be able to pick it up and help take over. And we tie in with the JAX-RS RESTful services and the Dell Boomi tier. And the Dell Boomi tier is important because those are RESTful services as well, but that takes a lot of the complexity out of whether they're in Salesforce or the legacy backend, and the whole UI just doesn't care. And even to the point where your React.js developers are working on it, they don't care. They can build the front end, they can make it really cool, and that complexity of back-end systems is just obscured out for them. Quick slide on building modern web applications. This is your SPAs. So whether you're using Angular or React, you've got Bootstrap that gives you the responsiveness. What you're getting is, think of it like, why should I have a whole bunch of servers in a data center doing all the computing power if I can push that out to millions of browsers? It allows me to scale better. So by pushing that out to the browsers, you've got your React.js app. It's a very rich client-side JavaScript app doing a lot of the work for you. And all it's doing is it's making quick little calls for data through a RESTful tier. And less page loads, everything feels a lot faster. The experience for the end user is a lot better. So, XTIVIA JetRay. So this is one of our solution accelerators we have, and it's basically a toolkit. And it gives you a framework for building React or Angular portlets that plug right into Liferay. And it's built off of the tools that your front-end JavaScript guys all know, Yeoman, NPM, Gulp, Webpack. And with very quickly, you can install the B-Ray or the JetRay packages with NPM, and then just type yo JetRay. It gives you a prompt-driven model where you can set up what's the name of the portlet, how do you want to set that up? Do you want to use Angular? Do you want to use React? And it gives you essentially a Liferay portlet that has the React code right in it, and your React developers can just work on the UI. And they don't have to worry too much about the complexity of, well, how do I make it a portlet? How do I get it in Liferay? And it generates a fully functional working examples in there as well with the URL routing and the REST-based data retrieval. And then you just plug in, well, my real endpoint's gonna be this. I'm gonna work on the UI. This is a quick slide that just kind of shows that you've got your prompt-driven Yeoman generator that asks like name, framework, model, and then you get a ready-to-use portlet. Just you use your standard tools like Gradle, and you can use Gulp to just do build, deploy. You can implement an iterative watch-based development. So your React guys are basically working in their whatever IDE they prefer for doing React development, and they're saving it and going to Liferay, just refresh the page. Oh, that want to tweak that a little bit, go back in, you can save it again. And when you're done, it still supports all your standard CI artifacts. So you can plug it right into whether you're using Jenkins or whatever. You've got Azure DevOps, all of it plugs right in. You can go into your CI process and go dev to QA to production. But the UI is not just enough, because your React UI, it needs services. So we've built a companion framework called XTIVIA Jet Service. It's built off of the same model of Yeoman-based. So you install the NPM package, you say, yo, Jet Service. And it says, hey, what do you want to call it? How is this service going to be built? It prompts you for a few things. Do you want to use Service Guard? I highly recommend it, because if you're building RESTful endpoints, you need to secure them. And it basically ties right in for all the out-of-the-box support to be an OSGI module right in Liferay with the build scripts you need, the JSON marshalling, and all of that. And you just run your Gradle build, push the OSGI module into your dev environment, and you're ready to start going. So from the Jet Service side, we're going to tie in XTIVIA Service Guard. XTIVIA Service Guard is crucial because your portlets are put on a page, and the React portlet there, you can set permissions. Can they see this page? Can they not? Services are actually doing the data retrieval, but it's crucial that you make sure you're not showing data that you shouldn't be showing, that you have the user that's logged in has permissions to see it. And what Service Guard does is it gives you an annotation-based approach that ties right into your Jet service. You can just use things like regular role member or site or admin, or in this case, organizational roles were very key. Do they have this organizational role on the organization? And the framework supports very easily creating your own. So if the out-of-the-box ones aren't there, they're literally the sources there, they're examples for you. And at other clients, we've had to do things that were very tied to a policy or tied to a dealer type, if it's a dealer portal. And you can secure that really easily that way with just new annotations. So quick slide just to kind of show graphically what Service Guard is. Essentially, when you're building a JAX-RS application, you're extending the application object. And you can swap that out with SGDXB application, and the framework's right there. The jar file's put in as an OSGI module, and it ties in a set of filters which are triggered off of your annotations. So it can be a class level if all the APIs in this need to be secured the same way. It can be at a method level if each API is a different one, and even down to a parameter level where we've done for some clients where at the policy number passed into the API, that ties to the security model. And all of it wraps in with the JAX-RS app and OSGI modules in Liferay. So for a quick summary of the site, we've got the Eatel customer portal, which is, as Aubrey said, the main goal is self-service. And Liferay gave us a platform and a framework that we can build that out and allow the users to do anything and everything they need to, from delegated user administration to managing their account to signing up for services, and all of it is mobile responsive. From an architecture and design, we're using the single page apps. We're tying that in so that we give this rich experience to the users, and it allows them to have a quick responsive site. And we've got our XTIVIA solution accelerators that we're using which I would be happy to get together with anybody and talk more in details with that after the session, or you can find us at the XTIVIA booth, because it's really cool what we're doing right there. And then, of course, our React, JAX-RS Web Services, and I put in some additional resources here. Of course, love to talk to you at the XTIVIA booth, but I put in some links to where you can actually get JetRay, JetService, Service Card. All of that is open source. So you can use it. We'd love to help you with it, but we're really trying to support the community in general. Lastly, I would appreciate your comments. If you want to rate the session, good, bad, I'm fine. I can take hate speech. It's all good. And if you have any questions, we can accept that now.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
You were showing those different brands, are those from different sides, different teams, or is it all one side?
The different brands, is it one site? Yes. So the graphics on the page are loading, I believe, based on the organization that is associated with that. It's not the user, it's actually, if the user comes in and it's part of multiple organizations, for instance, sometimes we have resellers, telco resellers who may have customers in multiple locations, then it would be the first screen, they would choose which one they want to look at, and then it would brand accordingly to which one they look at organizationally.
But they will land on something that they know, like a distribution.com or...
Yeah, so they would come in through our traditional residential web page or our business web page, and then there's just my account that they click on just like you would any other place to get into a customer portal. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if this is kind of from a different angle. I'm wondering if you could quantify the cost savings or the impact to revenue on a positive side as it relates to taking on this larger change, and then maybe more about that conversation at the higher level on, hey, this is the business case for doing this. Do you have any of that, any color on that?
So the question was the extent to which we can quantify the benefit of having done the project and the business case from its origin. The revenue generation aspect of it, we have not gotten as far into that as we would like to. Really, the greatest benefits that we were actually trying to target were customer experience as far as just their ratings of our company as a whole. A lot of these things you might be like, oh, I was expecting to see something really spectacular. We don't have to do spectacular. We have to do what customers expect us to do. And almost everything in here is just a basic expectation of customers. So one of the things that we want to do is not be dead. So that's one of the business values of this, is not being a dead company. Particularly, we really wanted to drive interactions that were loading on our call center needlessly. The customer didn't want it and our call center didn't want it. That's taking payments over the phone. That's setting up recurring payments. That's submitting a trouble ticket for my internet services out that we can then very proactively see. We just got 12 internet or out across addresses that are clustered in an area. We clearly have not a customer problem. We clearly have a network issue and being able to deploy those things. And so what we were looking for here is a reduction in 30% call volume into our customer service representatives. That would be people taking orders and taking payments. Now there's a challenge with that. If people are not calling your order takers, then you are not upselling them on whatever else you want to. So there is kind of a balance between how much you actually want people really to do everything on their own, and that's why we wanted to put in the campaign, very specific campaign ability in here, that when someone is doing certain interactions, we can press them with, hey, here's an opportunity for you, things like that. We didn't want to lose that upsell ability that our reps have. Customer support reps, we wanted to, again, see about a 33% decrease through our FAQs, through the self-service of submitting a ticket and having someone get back to you quickly, and then also when they have a very specific answer for you. So I would say that our degree and the implementation metrics on this haven't developed themselves fully to where I'd say I have a firm, we got 30% on this. That's what we were looking for, and I feel like that it's looking consistent with those numbers.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Like what your kind of ratio of support, like your team admin support to your actual number of users.
Okay, so are you talking about in IT?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question was, what is the ratio of support by users? And we are running out of time, so I'll quickly address this. I have 3 people. I have a UI UX developer who does a lot of the web, like kind of CMS type of things for the business website that we deployed, and has been heavily involved in this and is already doing mockups for the residential redesign that we want to do for the residential content pages. I have a developer, but they're both here. Why don't y'all stand up, get a little recognition. There's Katie, is a UI UX, and Renletta is the Liferay developer. She has been doing this for 2 months. Because we really just got on with it and brought one of XTIVIA resources to our office and told him, don't develop anything. Stand behind people, make sure that they're developing it. And then I have a guy, Jay Karasiak, who's not here today, who has handled all of the integrations. He's done literally every single integration through the Dell Boomi platform, and is capable in Liferay, but honestly his attention has been in the integration so far. And that's it. And right now, we feel comfortable that if something breaks, number one, we can take a look at it real quick. We think that we'll be able to resolve it. Number two, we have a quick call to get kind of tier 2 support from XTIVIA and just help us out with it, as opposed to literally early on, somebody needed a JavaScript snippet added, and we're like, I'm not sure where to do that. So like you got to progress through time and be able to take that on. But my objective, as we're over time, and there's a flashing red light, my objective is I wasn't going to be comfortable hiring XTIVIA to do a lot more work until I was confident that we could do the basic work. Because that's building a dependency that over time I'm not comfortable with, and they don't really want either. They want us to be as comfortable as possible in our relationship with them. Now, with my team comfortable with how to work with it, I have no qualms now with saying, hey, here's this other big project that we want to do. Let's go ahead and do it, because we can support that too. We just don't have the resources to develop it. See what I'm saying?
It's all about the partnership.
That's right. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.